Looking at the first questions for the 9th, this is a revision of what we did the last lesson. What we've got here is we've got up the top here, we've got our example, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have two questions underneath, which you guys are going to do. They're exactly the same working as the two questions above. Okay, so let's have a look at them. The first one here, we're finding the interest rate earned. So we're looking for I. So I equals PRN, which is principal times rate times the number of terms. So our principal, $6,000 in this one. Our interest rate, 7% per annum. And our time period, 5 years. Now remember, the first thing we're going to do before we do all this, to put in our calculators, we're changing that interest rate from percent to a decimal. So our first thing, R equals 7 divided by 100 equals 0.07. Then we simply substitute all the values into our formula. I equals P, 6,000 times R, 0.07 times N, 5. Our answer is $2,100, 2,100. Our next part of the question is find the interest earned. It's just a worded one, same thing. John invests $4,000 at 6% interest for 8 years. How much interest does he earn? So our P is this 4,000. Our R is 6%. So I haven't done that very well. I have done that thing properly. R is 6% per annum. And our N is 8 years. So the first thing we do is work out our rate. 60 as a decimal, 6 divided by 100.06, and our interest is P times R times N, 4,000 times 0.06 times 8 equals $1,920. Now, if we look at the third type of question that we can have, another type of question we have after we've worked out the interest, it's often we're being asked, well, what was the total amount? And we find the total amount by adding the interest earned on top of what we had in the first place. So here's a question here. Ethan, this is on borrowing. Ethan borrows $12,000 to buy a new car. So he gets $12,000 from the bank and gives it to the car dealership to buy his car. The interest rate is 12.5% per annum, and the period of the loan is 4 years. How much does he repay in total? So the first thing we need to do, we've got them down to our P, 12,000, our rate, 12.5%, our time period, 4 years. So we filled in those. Now our rate, again, we're going to convert to a decimal, 12.5 divided by 100, 0.125. Now we have to find out the total interest he paid on this. We're going to put these numbers in. We've got our P of 12,000. We've got our R that we just worked out at 0.125, and we've got our N at 4. We put all that in and we find that the interest was $6,000. So how much does he repay in total? He pays how much he borrowed plus the interest he has to pay. He repaid in total $18,000. Now have a go at these two questions. Are exactly the same, reading them out. This second one here for the audio scaffolding. Maria invests $12,000 at 9% per annum for 3 years. How much interest does she earn? This one here for audio scaffolding. Georgia borrows $15,000 to buy a new car. Interest rate is 14%. Period of the loan is 3 years. How much does she repay in total? Down here, our question for audio scaffolding. Ethan invests $9,000 for 5.5 years at 6.25% interest. How much interest does he earn? And finally, for our audio scaffolding, Talawa borrows $10,000 to buy a new car. The interest rate is 8.25%, and the period of the loan is 5 years. How much does she repay in total? Once you've had a go at those, move on.